Hey guys, what's going on? This is Rachel Kayleen here with the Millennial Wayve, and this is episode 25. Right here in the studio with me, I have Adrian Boysel. He is the founder of Adrian Graphics and Marketing, and also he has his own talk show called Project Grow. So it was almost like I'm glad that you're here because I almost couldn't have you. I'm surprised that I was able to get you in here because you're super busy, very successful. I already know a little bit of your history from the first time I got to see you at that mastermind or at the group with Haney. And just having you in here, I'm so thankful. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Being here.
Appreciate that.
And I know we only have a limited time, so I'm going to try to just jump into it. But for any of the people out there that don't know you, can you just tell a little bit about how you got into what you're doing and where it's kind of been over the last few years?
Yeah. It's kind of a crazy story. It actually begins with not such a good situation. I was actually locked up in jail.
What?
And I made a little boo-boo mistake, took some advice from my dad, and filed a false claim on my car. And it ended up leading me to jail for 90 days.
Oh, my gosh.
And when I was there, I was super young. I was 18. And while I was there, I was like, I am never coming back here again. This will be the worst day of my life because every day from here on out, outside of this place, once I get out, is going to be a lot better than being here. I don't ever want to make that mistake again. So I wrote my entire business plan in there. And I got out. I actually ended up doing 31 days on a 90-day sentence.
Nice.
And spent a lot of time just writing, working out, and just getting my head right. So when I got out of there, I could hit the ground running. And so I wrote the whole business plan, got out, and in 90 days, I opened up my first retail location doing same-day graphics and printing. And that was called California Printing. So I opened up that business. In about 2.5 years, we blew up to over 3,000 clients. And it was an incredible experience. And then in 2011, I got offered to sell the company and continue to run it. But things didn't work out quite as planned. I thought I was going to continue to grow it and take it nationwide, which was the kind of the vision that was given to me of, hey, you should take this thing nationwide. So I was like, hey, let's do it. But it didn't really work out as according to plans. But it was really successful. I learned a lot. I didn't have to go to college or anything like that. Just came right out of high school and immediately went to work. So it was an amazing experience. I learned a lot about being an entrepreneur.
That's crazy. So literally your first ever business that you launched, you had success with.
Oh, yeah.
And you sold.
Oh, yeah.
How does someone do that? When you have no business experience and they say no business being in business, right?
Yep.
What was like... Did you have help? Did you have mentors? How did you build something so successful over how long? 2 years?
2.5 years.
2.5 years, and then you sell it right after.
Yeah, I sold it at just shy of 4 years.
Okay.
So in 2011, I started it just in the very tail end of 2007, and it was amazing. So what happened was I was at such a low place when I ended up at that place in my life of being in jail. I was like, man, I got to change the trajectory of my life, or I'm going to end up on the same road like my dad. So I decided to start surrounding myself with people that were like my friend Larry, who owned a bar, and he was a corrections officer, and he had an influence in the community as a business owner that was really powerful. So I started seeing that, and I saw other people that were around him, and they were entrepreneurs and business owners. And I'm like, okay, this is the community I need to surround myself with. So I just stayed real close to him, listened, asked a million questions, because that's just part of my personality. I ask a million questions.
Yeah, I love it.
Continued to ask questions until I ended up, getting to where I was, and it was my passion for the business, and to be at nothing basically. When you're locked up, you're at the bottom of the totem pole, and for me, it was like I had nothing to lose. So I just went all out, and I knew that if it didn't work, then what was the worst? I'm not going to end up back in jail. I know that. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to change the trajectory of my life, and I'm going to take a huge risk, and I did, and it paid off.
That's crazy. And just to kind of fast forward too, when I actually saw you at Haney's event, you mentioned, and I hope this is okay, but you mentioned I've been building my business for the last few years, right? Because you kind of transitioned to Adrian's graphics and marketing. Do you still have a location?
Yeah, I have 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay, awesome.
One in Lincoln and one in Granite Bay.
Wow, that's awesome. So when you were talking, you said, I'm kind of like, you didn't say you were tired of it, but you kind of mentioned you've been helping everyone else create success.
It's true.
Why haven't you been doing it for yourself? And that was a while ago when I saw you, maybe over a year ago, I'm sure.
Right about a year, yeah.
Yeah. So how did you make that pivot? Did you change some things? And how'd you get into that spot in the first place?
Well, the funny story of that is I actually got put into a position where I really wasn't left with a choice. I had some amazing months that happened that year that were like the biggest sales months of my life. And then shortly after, I had 3 people that were really key people to the business that decided to leave and to go start their own things and just branch off and do their own thing. And that just like pulled the rug out from underneath me.
These were employees?
Yes, these were
Oh,
employees.
wow, okay.
And so that was where I was at when I saw you. As I had just come out of that, basically, and I was just starting to ramp back up again. And I was just kind of getting my gusto again from taking the hit, because we take hits as a business owner. So I took that hit, continued to turn it around. Things were going back in the right direction, but I knew from that point forward, I was faced with the decision. I'm either going to continue to build an agency, and really I had no desire to run an agency. I had a desire to help these business owners and do the consulting and the coaching and those types of things. So I pivoted away from that and started focusing on coaching and consulting.
And this was how many years after you had sold your business?
This is, let me think here, 4 years. This is 4 years in.
4 years.
4 years after.
Oh, wow. Okay. So 8 years like business experience, you started coaching and consulting. And still at the same time, what were you, like 26?
27, 28.
27. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, think about this. Like, young guy. Were most of your clients older?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, much older.
So how did you have a hard time saying like, hey, I'm this young 20-something-year-old coming to coach you and consult to you about business advice?
No, because my passion level was so high, and I research and I spend so much time working. I mean, I'm working until 2 o'clock in the morning, go to sleep, wake back up again at 6 and start all over again.
Yeah.
I spend so much time in my craft, watching videos, learning from people, talking to my mentors, every challenge that I've faced, like just learning constantly. I just always keep my mind open to try and be a student and remain in that mindset. But as I do that, I just continue to, learn that where my value is, where the biggest focus needs to be.
Okay. And then with graphics and marketing, what's your main focus in that business? I feel like you do a lot of the marketing aspects for businesses, correct?
Correct.
Is that kind of where you felt like, I'm helping everyone create success, but at the same time,
I was giving all my talents to them, and I wasn't spending any time on my own business.
Yeah.
So now I've pivoted myself out of the business. So I have an entire team that handles all the campaigns, the strategy. I still help the clients with the strategy side. So it kind of begins with me doing the consulting and coaching for them.
Got it.
And then it leads into us doing the services.
Okay.
And once they're ready to do the services with me, they've already got the foundation laid with the strategy and having a marketing plan and having their branding on point. Like, all those things are already laid and done before I take them to have them do the done for you services like SEO and pay-per-click and all that stuff. And now I've kind of built that into a system.
Yeah. So what do you think is one of the most important things in a business? Because it sounds like what people see on the outside is you've created all this success, right?
Yeah.
You're killing it, you're crushing it, but they don't see all the things that you had to obviously go through. So you mentioned how after you sold that business, you had some other things happen in your life. How did you start building Adrien's graphics and marketing? How did that kind of like come about?
Yeah, so like I said, I was planning on taking that company nationwide, and I had a lot of energy and excitement for that, because I was like,
California Printing.
Yeah, CalPrint was what it was called, calprint.com. We had basically evolved from California Printing to CalPrint. That's what everybody called us. And so it evolved, and I saw this huge image of like us being all over the country and having retail locations. People could walk in, get their stuff designed while they were sitting there in front of me or in front of the designer, and walk out with their stuff in their hands, which was instant gratification.
No, that's
so I was
amazing.
like, this is huge, right? So I could take this model, go nationwide. So that didn't end up working out. I sold the business to him, and after 40 days, I walked. I said, I'm not going to be treated like this. It just wasn't a good situation.
So they kind of took control of your business, and they still allowed you to be involved in it?
Yeah, but I wasn't allowed to do anything but sell, and there was just so many restrictions. They fired 99% of my employees, and it was a big... It wasn't.
Wow, so
how
that
it
was a
planned
big
out.
mistake.
It was a big mistake.
Okay.
So I got a lot of money from it, obviously, but I ended up taking a year off. And during that time, I went to Chicago and took classes
Really?
with Google. And that's
What?
where the light bulb went off.
Oh
I
my
was like,
God.
oh my gosh, Google Ads is where it's at. Like, it was so cheap back then.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff that
What year
Russell
was this?
Brunson,
2000?
This was 2011.
Oh, okay.
So it was so cheap to advertise on Google at that point that it was just like, it was like making money growing on trees. It was insane.
That's crazy.
So I just started doing the Google ads, and then that evolved. I already knew SEO from when I had my printing business. I ranked my own website, so I was doing a lot of SEO and the Google ads. I just started pairing it with the creative campaigns, and then I got brought on as a marketing director for a big HVAC contractor, and they were doing like $800,000 a year at that point. But over a 4-year period, I took them to like 20 million. My partner and I. So
Did you get a percentage?
No, I shouldn't.
Oh my gosh.
So he got like a 15% of the company, and he was the sales side, and I was the marketing side. So we did all the pitch books, the websites. So during that time, I met 2 mentors. One of them was the vice president of Service Master Corporation. Another one that actually had his PhD in marketing.
Wow.
He was phenomenal. So he taught me the strategy, the scientific process of coming up with your content, coming up with your campaigns, all those things. Like, you can't just throw something at the wall and hope it sticks. You have to know that it's going to work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, so many people just have good ideas, but what is it rooted in? What's the foundation?
Yeah.
You know?
And how does someone find that foundation? What have you learned from those people that have kind of helped you know that.
It's pretty straightforward. It's actually a lot less complicated than he liked to make it sound, but it's basically emotional. It's a psychological, scientific process, and it's just basically what's the logical elements that are going to get somebody to buy this? What are the ethical elements that are going to get people to buy this or use you? And what's the emotional reasons that someone's going to use you? Logical, ethical, and emotional. Logos, pathos, and ethos. And so he taught me that, and that was a gold nugget that has carried me for years.
That's insane. So you literally spent a whole year in Chicago taking classes from Google, and that helped your business dramatically?
Yeah, well, because that just kind of started the momentum, and then quickly after that, I started another online course that was like really expensive. It was like $6,000, but I bought into it. It was super uncomfortable, but I bought into it, and it didn't teach me anything new in terms of like marketing, but it taught me a sales strategy to digital marketing that I didn't know before. And I built a community through them. They had like 3,000 members in the group. So that was a big thing that just continued to propel me to keep adding, going into masterminds and going into groups and continue to move, that direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was cool.
Jeez. So, I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of different people and influences in your life that have helped you kind of along the journey. So how important do you think, like, when someone's getting started in entrepreneurship, what are some of the key things? Because, I mean, you have so much knowledge, and I want to get into that, but what are the different things that have helped you move forward and create success along your journey? Is it the mentors? Is it the knowledge? Is it the courses? Is it the failures? I mean, what are some of the key things when someone's first getting started that's like critical?
I think the three important ones. First is passion. If you don't have passion for what you're doing, you're just trying to go after it for the money. It's not going to work.
How did you know you had passion for graphics? How did you know that? Just throughout life?
Well, it's funny. I could go all the way back to when I was about 6 or 7 years old and drawing. I used to draw all the time, all throughout school. And I remember my stepmom telling me, "Man, I don't know what you'll do for a living someday, but I know that it's going to have to do with art and computers." And I was like, that was like 8 years old probably when she told me that. And I'm like, art and computers? I had no idea. Computers, we were still using like Windows 97, super old school. And I had no idea or saw what was coming, with Adobe and all the things that they've done. So she kind of put that seed in me. And then as soon as technology advanced, my little brother came to me one day. He's like, "Hey, have you ever heard of Adobe Photoshop?" And next thing you know, I'm in Photoshop designing flyers for club events that I was putting on and parties and stuff. So that's kind of like where that whole thing began, was the artistic, the creative side of me. As soon as I came out of jail, I knew, okay, I need to get something that I can sell that has a monetary value, something physical like printing, and I need to be able to use my creative, my artistic abilities and combine those two. And I love helping business owners. I'm an entrepreneur. So that was a big part. But back to the three things, other than passion, I think continuing to remain open-minded and just continue to be a student is huge. Like thinking, like a lot of people, they get 2 or 3 years into their career and they've invested a lot into learning and education, and then they stop and they think that they know enough. And if you think you know enough, you know nothing, So you got to continue to always remain a student. And like for me, I've been doing marketing now technically since the printing company, since 2007, so like 13 years. But, I still feel like I'm just scratching the surface of a lot of stuff. ClickFunnels is always changing. Google's is always changing. It's crazy.
Wow, that's insane. Yeah. So passion. Always being a student.
Yep.
And of course,
embracing opposition. You're going to come up against opposition, like 3 key people leaving, or having to pivot in your business, or the industry coming out with things like Vistaprint, things like that. Those things make massive disruptions, and they cause a lot of small business owners to struggle. I mean, look at Dimple Records, perfect example. You have to be able to evolve. So facing your opposition and saying, okay, how am I going to handle this, and not just like, oh, I give up, it's time to close the business, close the doors. There's always a pivot that you can make usually.
Yeah, of course. Yep. So with Adrien's graphics and marketing, how are you continuing to pivot in that aspect? Like when you're helping business owners and when you're helping companies, how are they wanting to come to you rather than just going to someone else that's maybe really up on technology or whatever the case may be? Because you're always adapting, but what kind of sets that apart? How do you continue to set yourself apart?
That's a great question. So for me, one of the biggest things is I've obviously always learning and growing, and challenging my team is a big thing. I'm always trying to give them a new challenge, something hard to do, like create this and create that. That helps. But the biggest thing for me has been just really pivoting into having the right client. That's the struggle that I've realized over the last 13 years, is I kept bringing on the wrong people as clients. And I was afraid to fire clients. Oh, I need this $350. Oh, I need this $1,000 a month. Oh, I need this $5,000 a month. Now I've realized that because of the quality of marketing that I do, I don't need to stress if they're being a nightmare client, not paying on time, not being open-minded, not listening to what I'm telling them to do, and not trusting me, then it's time for them to go, because hitting my head up against the wall.
Do you kind of have like a screening process, like before you take on a client?
Oh yeah.
You have like certain things. How do you know though? Before you work with someone, it's like you never really know the type of person that they are until they come into your world and they see like everything that you have to offer, but then they have their own, so a lot of people, their businesses are their babies, they don't want to like change anything.
Of course, they're super stuck in controlling. Well, the big thing is in my first discovery call is what I call it. My whole time that I spend with them is all about them. I want to know what their vision is, what their roadblocks are, and what their 12-month goal is. That right there pretty much tells me everything I need to know of the kind of person they are. And then I just tell them, look, the right clients for me are people who are going to be open-minded, they're going to be hungry, and they're going to be passionate. If you're not, if you don't have those qualities, then we're probably not going to work out long-term.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for long-term relationships.
Yeah.
It's quality versus quantity for me.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bring on 1,000 clients. Like, you're going to get the one-on-one individual attention that you deserve. As your marketing guy, this is a very important part of your business.
Yeah.
You need to know that someone's going to be there for you and be with you through the whole process.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's huge.
Okay. So for the people out there that are just starting their business, maybe like they may feel like they're behind on the trends because it's 2019 and things are always evolving. People are winning. Google Ads isn't the same as it used to be.
Yep.
So what are some of the few, I'm not going to give you like a certain number, just kind of spitball, but the different things that they need to have to help their business grow. If there's someone that still are working at their 9 to 5, or maybe they're even a student, what are like the few things they need to grow a business? And of course, everyone's going to say the heartbeat is always sales, but what are some things that you think that people don't hear often enough?
The biggest thing I see is a lack in clarity. They try to add a bunch of different things. I've done it myself. They add every service under the book they can think of, hoping that someone will just see one of those things and bring them in. They're spreading their net way too wide. So having clarity and focus in one specific vertical and going after one niche, like as I've evolved Adrian Graphics and Marketing, I used to service contractors and real estate agents and plumbers and electricians and like everybody and their mom. And now I've narrowed it down and I'm focusing on engineers, environmental companies, and like contractors, and that's pretty much it. So I have a couple different contractors I work with, but I'm narrowing the type of clients that I want to work with, so it actually helps me replicate campaigns, and I can recreate that success over and over again.
Yeah.
So that's really important, is having that clarity, and then understanding who you're actually targeting. Again, it's one of those things a lot of people go way too wide.
That goes into marketing,
everybody.
right?
Yep, I want to reach everybody. And you can't reach everybody. You got to start small first, and then cast your net out wider. As it's the rifle shooting, the sniper approach versus the shotgun approach. It's super important to do that. So that's the big thing. And then I'm trying to think what else would be a huge one aside from clarity. I think just continuing to learn and evolve in your craft is absolutely essential. You have to continue to just practice and learn every day. I'm watching YouTube tutorial videos every single day.
Okay. So. And I was going to say, because you even mentioned how much and just hearing you, it's like you just have this abundance of knowledge. Like you can tell, know exactly what you're talking about. I have to hold it back. Yeah. No, it's amazing. Please, like give it to them, because we only have limited time. So I just want to make sure, like, you just feel free. But you gained all this knowledge back in 2011 when like the internet was like booming, right? Yeah. Like it was getting into it. But where'd you learn all this? Like you said you have no college education.
Nope.
So I mean, Google, that was pretty cool. But so what was it? Was it like YouTube? You went on Google? Like how, like some people feel like, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. How am I going to do it? What would you say, like the first step? Like just go on Google, go on YouTube.
It's funny that question actually reminds me of the one you just previously asked of what you need to do. And the biggest thing is just taking action.
Yeah.
And that's what I did is before YouTube was even a thing, I was watching or reading books on Adobe Photoshop, like going through the guide, and I was in front of the computer messing with Adobe Photoshop, and I already learned Adobe Premiere in high school. I took a video production class in there because my grandfather had a video production company, my dad had a video production company, so I knew the video editing side, and I knew that if I could take the video production side and the graphics and actually get really good with the graphics, I could create even better videos, So I just continued to practice. That was it. I just practice. And then once the resources became available, like the YouTube videos, like the mentors, once those opportunities came to me, I snatched them up.
Yeah.
I didn't waste time. As soon as I had an opportunity to learn something from somebody, I'm a sponge. I'll just ask a million questions until they're like, dude, all right, no more questions. I got to go.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Love it. I love that. Okay. So for someone like yourself that's been in business for over 10 years, right? How you know a lot, you work very hard all the time, you hustle, you do what you got to do. Have you ever had times in your life or in your business where you work so hard but you're not seeing results on the back end? What keeps you going?
I mean, the fact that I'm in my passion, that I love what I do, and that I know that there's a bigger purpose for it. Like, if you don't believe that you have a higher purpose for what you're doing, my faith is the bedrock and the foundation of everything that I'm doing. That's why I have Project Grow. It's a faith-based business show. Like that. If it wasn't for that, I probably would have just given up and walked away and went back to selling cars or selling phones or doing something different. But it's because I know that there's a purpose and a calling for my life. And the graphics and marketing, although it's been a big part of my career so far, is just one of the stepping stones of what I'm supposed to be doing,
Yeah, of course. And how would someone find their passion? Like, they're trying all these different things, and you see that one person, like, they do this, and then they quit, they do that, and then they quit, they do this, and then they quit.
Start, stop.
Yeah.
The start-stop is a big deal. I think, if you have something that you have as a hobby that you love to do, a lot of people miss out on the opportunity of turning that into a business. A lot of hobbies that they think, oh, no, I can't make any money with that. Or, there's a lady that eats dinner with people on YouTube. And she makes like $60,000 a month just eating dinner with people on YouTube. Just having
conversations, like random conversations.
On YouTube Live.
I thought about doing that.
Right.
But I'm not saying I was like, oh, I can't do it. Well, but it was more like just a random thought, like, oh, I wonder if I could get paid to like just sit down with people, because I was doing that earlier today. I was like, damn, I should get paid for this. This is awesome. And hey, we're in a podcast. Go ahead.
And she had a need. She saw a need. She saw that there was a lot of lonely people who wanted to have company. And that right there is eating dinner with a bunch of people online.
She's
and
on
chatting
YouTube?
With them. She's on YouTube. I don't even know her name, but I saw that and it blew my mind. I'm like, are you kidding me? She makes like $60,000 a month eating dinner with people?
Wow.
Like, what the heck
the
am I
most
doing
random
wrong?
Conversations
right?
like that.
Oh, I'm sure. So something like, just whatever your passion is, if you want to help people, you want to make people who feel lonely, give them company, well, there she goes. She turned something that nobody would think you can make money off of, eating dinner with people. You know what I mean? So don't think that there's not a way for you to monetize your passion. That could be skateboarding and making skateboarding videos or whatever your passion is. It could be video games. Look at the video gaming industry.
No,
it's absolutely exploded. They have, what is it called? The place inside of Walmart. It's like a game center now. They have computers and all that stuff set up.
Jeez. Then also esports.
Yeah, the esports arena. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep. So you can make money off of video games now. Music, whatever your passion is, you should be able to turn that into a profit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's huge.
And then obviously, like, knowing how to build a business, or failing and then learning the lessons and whatnot.
All the information's available online.
Yeah. So before we go, tell the audience kind of what's next, because catching up with you a little bit on Facebook.
Yep.
And I want to sit down with you again. It doesn't have to be on the podcast, but just to get to know you better and hear about you and your life. But I know you have events that you're hosting.
Mm-hmm.
So tell them a little bit about that, because every person that I've had on the podcast is in the Sacramento area.
Nice.
So I have a lot of people that, obviously are just very like-minded, but go ahead.
So somebody came to me about a year and a half ago and said, hey, I want to do these events. They're called Tag Talks. It's just an idea I have. It's God-given, and I know it's going to be huge, and I need somebody to help me market these events. And I said, well, I could do branding. I could have done event promotions back in my early years. I could give it my best and see what I can do for you. And so we worked out a nice little trade deal where I got to get on stage, and he gave me stage time and promotions. Nice. I was on all the marketing materials that I made and my team made. And so I did that for him, and it went so well. The attendance wasn't exactly what we wanted, but it went so well that he decided to bring me on as a partner. Wow. And so he partnered with me, and so now I'm a partner in what's called Tag Talks Live. Okay. It's tagtalkslive.com. And our first event was at Bridgeway Church. We had like 250 people there. We brought out Tom Bilyeu from Quest Nutrition.
What?
Yeah.
You brought out Tom Bilyeu? I freaking love him.
He's a rock star.
I listen to him like all the time. I was listening to him yesterday.
He's so nice. He's one of the most humble, genuine guys. Sold his company for $1 billion. Just amazing.
How did you get him? That's a whole nother conversation. But
a lot of money. But
my gosh.
So it was a really good success story that we had, and we used a lot of the footage. And then we're like, all right, let's do this again. But this one, it needs to be specific to a specific demographic, and we're going after business owners now. Mm-hmm. So this one's called Business Success Secrets, and it's going to be at William Jessup University, August 16th and 17th. We've had some speaker changes over the last few days, but we've got Kevin Harrington from the Shark Tank, original shark on the Shark Tank.
Yo, you guys are killing it. Who's your partner again? I'm sorry.
Raul Lopez.
I'm assuming you guys both have you guys are both killing it, right?
Oh, yeah. He's an author. He's a speaker. Oh, okay. He speaks in jails, and he was in prison for 10 years.
What?
So, he's got a crazy story, too.
Jeez.
But, you'll have to get him on the show sometime. Yeah. But, so we got this event, and we have Kevin Harrington, Forbes Riley, who's a really good motivational speaker.
Seen her,
So she'll be there. Kane and Alessia Minkus, I don't know if you know them. They're called world-class speakers, industry rock stars. They go all over the world and speak. 30 countries a year.
So that's their profession.
Oh yeah, and they're incredible. So they're both coming out. They've actually partnered with us on Tag Talks for this next event.
That's so exciting.
It's big. So we'll have like 6 to 8 celebrity speakers, and then we're going to bring on like 4 to 5 like regular people who are trying to get into speaking, who want to learn. And through that process, we help coach them and what it's like to be on stage and get their marketing materials set up and put them on all of our branding. And we just advertise the heck out of them so we can get the exposure. And then they get to get up on stage. And if they want to sell, they can sell. If they just want to tell a story, they can tell a story. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
So yeah, Tag Talks.
Love it. Okay. Awesome. Tell these people where they can find you as well.
Yeah, you can look at, I'm easy to find, either adriangraphics.com, or you can just do the @ symbol on Instagram or Facebook is @AdrianGraphics. Pretty easy to find me there. And then you can look us up, tagtalkslive.com. If you're interested in the event, you want to come out, 2-day event. We're going to do workshops, and it's going to be an exciting one. You steady dressing that big bar, just live your life.